going to take a departure from our final battle because Ms. Bailey's here to teach us something, and we'll let her introduce that. So we will be doing it on Thursday, our final battle. So sorry, Braxton. And he came. So we'll let you just take over, and I'll find you a seating chart.
Guys, good to see you all again. Okay, so I need a volunteer who can tell me the story of Cinderella.
Cinderella?
I want like a 30-second, just like what happens. Remind me of your name? Lauren. Okay, Lauren, tell me what happens in Cinderella. Everyone listen, let's make sure she gets the story right.
Okay, so she was poor, and her stepmother and her stepsisters were really, really rude to her, and they made her clean and things. But then they were invited to a ball, and they told her that she could go as long as she got all her chores done. And then she did all her chores, but then she made the mice do this pretty dress, but then the stepmother and the stepsisters ripped it up. But then the godmother came and made her pretty and a coach, and then she went. But then when the clock strikes 12, she'll come back to the poor little thing. But she goes to the ball, meets the prince. But then 12 o'clock strikes and she runs away. But then she leaves her shoe, and the prince goes across the kingdom looking for her, and then he finds her, and they get happily ever after.
And the sisters.
I could have told them way better.
That's right. Okay, so that was great. So she loses her shoe. Okay, now let's all focus on the story. The prince finds her. Shoe fits.
I heard that the princess was actually 8.
And then they get married. And it's happily ever after.
Wait, so that one got
Her dad died. What part does that go into?
well, actually, she's not poor. She's actually rich, but her
dad died.
treated poorly. Like, her family just owns her, basically.
Right.
They treat her as a servant.
Poor / dad died. So she doesn't really have any money anymore because her dad died.
And the
evil stepsisters.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that was great. 30-second version of Cinderella. We've all seen that story. Okay, so we're going to figure out, okay, so here's the story of Cinderella.
Oh, we did this in English, the grind plot.
Did you? You are going to be great at this then.
I don't like
So
this.
who can tell me? Okay, so who can tell me what is the most important part of the story? What does everything lead up to? Go ahead.
Climax.
What was that? The climax. So in the story here, what would you say the climax is?
They're invited to the ball.
Invited to the ball? That's a really big part of the story,
Wouldn't
right?
that be the incentive?
I don't know. What is the climax?
The thing that the middle of the story, basically, where everything starts to fall into place.
Everything starts to fit.
Doesn't have.
It could be she loses her shoe. So let's go through and let's just start to map this out. What happens? So here's the beginning of the story. So we'd probably say like dad dies is in the beginning, right?
Yes.
So dad dies.
And
We're introduced to Cinderella, right? So we kind of get to know the character of Cinderella, the evil stepsisters. So we get to know that. So nothing really is happening yet. We're just learning about her and what happens. Okay, so then things start to happen in the story. So what's one of the first things that happens?
the main stepsisters make her do chores.
Okay, so she has to do chores, right? In this
Is
house.
there 3 rising points?
Huh?
Is there 3?
There can be as many as we want.
Then.
Okay, so there's chores. Okay, so raise your hand if you can tell me what happens next. Okay, Emma?
Invited to the ball.
She's invited to the ball. Okay, so that'll go right here, right?
Yeah.
Invited to the ball. Okay, so she's invited to the ball. That's right there. Great. Doing chores, right? Okay, so in the movie, the mice are making her dress. fairy godmother comes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so things are still building. I'm gonna say godmother. Okay, so then what happens? She meets the prince, right? Okay, so things are still they're still building. Things are still happening. The story is continuing to rise, and as this happens, we start to get more and more invested in the story. So in the beginning, you know, there's a sweet girl. She's poor. She doesn't have a very nice family. But as things start to happen, we get more invested in what's happening, right? So we want her to meet the prince. We want her to have this happily ever after. So then what happens after she meets the prince?
Loses her shoes and climbing.
Yeah. Well, she loses her shoe. Okay. So after the climax, things start to go down, right? The falling action.
Yeah.
You guys have probably heard these terms before. Okay. So if she loses the shoe as the climax, then things should start to get, I don't know,
Falling action.
the falling action. Uh-huh.
Get
But
better.
what happens if we say that when the prince finds her is the climax? What do you guys,
There's nothing left in the story though. They just get married.
right?
That's
So
still
sometimes, that's a really good point. So according to this little diagram, it seems like this has to be towards the middle, right? Because it's kind of like a mountain. But a lot of times, this is actually deceiving. It should go something like this. So why would it look like that instead? Yeah.
Because there's not as much as falling action.
Yeah, not as much in the falling action. So as soon as like the climax hits, that's what we're all waiting for. And as soon as it happens, everything just kind of like comes to a resolution, right?
Yeah.
So that would be like this part right here.
She gets married.
She gets married, right? So if she gets married as part of this like falling action,
And the prince searches for the missing person, I guess.
so just for the missing person.
Yeah, and then her shoe.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She gets locked in her room.
She's locked in her room.
That
Right.
should be the climax.
That should be the climax. Yeah. So she gets locked in room.
Can there be more than one climax?
There's lots of yeah.
Together.
Yeah, there's lots of like mini climaxes. A lot of times, stories will look like this. And then it'll just kind of go off. So,
That's cool.
this is lots of like mini climaxes. So, exactly. So what we've been talking about is there's lots of little climaxes. Like meeting the prince is kind of a climax, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a pretty big event. And then when she loses her shoe. Uh-huh. So these are all little climaxes.
The mice is called her shoes.
Mhm.
Nice.
Right, the mice are very important in this story. So I'm not sure that they were in the original, but okay, great. So then the biggest part that has like the biggest fall afterwards is probably what? The shoe fits, right?
Yeah.
Because then what happens after that?
They get married.
They get married, live happily ever after, right?
Until she leaves him for this other dude that works for a hospital.
I don't remember that part.
It's in Just Ella.
Okay, so great. So this is a good example of how after the climax, we don't have very much left to the story. After that, it kind of just resolves itself. And a lot of times, especially in fairy tales, it's like a good resolution. The princess gets married, or you know, everyone's alive. They beat the dragon. They save the town. Brings home the track
They
dude
have
from
to go
Billy.
and they have to work for her.
Yeah, that's true. They have to work for her. So that would be part of the resolution. She gets married, and the evil stepsisters have to go, like, be her servants, right?
To get married. I would love that.
That's right. Okay, so,
She's gonna be like, work for me.
but then a lot of times, in, like, not fairy tales, the good character could die, even.
Robin Hood, the TV series, he dies at the very end.
Exactly. So it doesn't mean that it has to be.
He's dead.
Okay, let's start to raise our hands a little more. So a lot of times it could be a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a good thing. So we are going to do this for another story together. And I really like this one. We're gonna watch it. And so while we watch this, I want you guys. Now it's a little hard because there aren't any words in it. Nothing is spoken.
So it's like a picture book.
It's like a picture book, but it's like a movie
Picture
too.
book without words.
So
I read a picture book with no words.
That's
crazy. You can't read that.
Do you want to show this on the screen?
Okay, so while we watch this, I want you guys to look for those things that we just talked about. So look for I want you to look for like meeting the characters, and these characters aren't typical characters. And then I want you to look for like the rising action, and then try and figure out what the climax is. Because it's not as in your face as, say, Cinderella would be. There isn't like a glass slipper that fits. And then after that, try and see what the falling action is. There might be a little discussion on this. It's not super clear, but that's what's great about it. It's open to interpretation. So,
Just this?
oh, that's
The Wally behind. Oh, okay. I'll let you. So maybe I'll just. Do you want the speakers on?
Yeah, let's turn them on even if it is in the background. Okay, everyone pay attention now.
Many of you feel bad for this lamb. That is because you're crazy. It has no feelings, and the new one is much better.
Okay, so that is a little story, right?
When you give your boyfriend this route, you crazy. It has no feelings.
The new one is better.
Okay, so what do you guys think about this? It was funny. Okay,
Made it really sad.
it was really sad. No, why was it sad?
Was it?
Okay, everyone listen. Let's listen.
Because the old lamp that was red, that was pigment color, got put outside on the sidewalk and it rained.
And there was sad music, right?
There
Okay,
was talking
so
in the.
there what?
There was talking in it.
There was. Okay, so what did you guys think about what's the story in this? So there aren't any words, so we kind of have to figure it out, right? So what was now you guys know the words protagonist and antagonist? Okay, so yeah, what's protagonist mean?
The protagonist is the main character of the story, good or bad.
Good or bad, great. And then what's the antagonist?
The person working against the protagonist.
Great. So what would you guys say that the protagonist is?
The red lamp.
The red lamp. Okay. So we're gonna write red lamp right here. Okay. So if that's the main character, so what was like working against it or the antagonist?
The
woman. The new lamp, right?
The blue new lamp.
The new lamp. Yeah, sorry, it was kind of hard to see. It was a little dark. Okay, so what were things that happened in the beginning of the story? So let's talk about the exposition. So that would be like this part of, so here's our little mountain, right? Our little pyramid. So the setting is, where's the setting?
Her house,
Apartment in maybe New York or something. So outside in the rain, right? It's raining. So climate, it's hard to read on here, but it's raining. And then the characters we talk about, it's the two lamps and
the woman and the British guy, or whatever he was from.
oh yeah,
He was Mexican.
the guy at the end. I think he was Swedish.